Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of Stripped by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. I am your host, Steph Sia, aka Sia on camera online. That is primarily where you can find me nowadays. I am a cam model streaming exclusively on Streamate. I'm also on Sex Panther, OnlyFans, and some other platforms which I'll be launching later this month or later this year, depending on where I am at with my priorities. I have been a sugar baby, or was a sugar baby, for many years, and that's kind of how I started in the industry, I guess 12 years ago now. And I was also a dancer, and now I'm saying was because I really don't think I'll be dancing much more. If you guys have been listening for a while, you'll know I have had a lot of troubles with my agency and not getting booked and all that. So online creator is kind of like where I'm at with all the stuff in the adult space. So if you are listening, and if it's your first time here, thank you to whoever brought you here, or thank you to your own curiosity for bringing you over here. This show is all about destigmatizing sex work, and I do that by bringing different guests onto the show. I mean, the show started off like over 5.5 years ago by bringing my friends onto the show who are all in the industry, and then it kind of expanded where I'm now bringing on like different performers and people from around the world, talking to different organizations that help advocate for sex workers, talking to many different people in their respective corners of the internet, of the sex work community, to talk about work, basically, how we do work, how we deal with our challenges. And I'm really excited actually to talk about facelessness today and being anonymous online, and really how to navigate that, because, you know, being online really relies a lot on your face. For the most part, for most platforms. But we are going to be talking to a faceless creator today, this is a topic that I've been wanting to do for so long. And I'm so glad that our esteemed guest today, will be chatting to us about her personal struggles with being faceless, and also her decision to come out later this year, which is all super exciting. But I do want to keep you at the edge of your seats, because I just want to say hello to our Patreon subscribers. I'm so sorry. I still have to do that to you guys. We will be there real soon. Fast forward to the 5-minute mark if you need to. But our lovely Patreon subscribers who have been with me for a few years now, which has been so lovely to hear. Thank you all for your support. For those who are on Patreon, you are enabled to get access to all of the full exclusive video content that's on there. That means a full video for each week, for each episode, that comes at you earlier than everyone else. I was a little bit slow with the holidays, but we're finally caught up, which is really great. So you can get access to that, get a sneak peek on who's coming on the show, some questions and topics that are pondering my mind, bonus episodes, and all the like. So there's lots of really, really great goodies that you can find there. And all of your money is going towards funding my website, strippedbysia.com. So many websites nowadays. strippedbysia.com, and also to help fund adult industry events, just like XBiz LA, which I was attending a couple of weeks ago, and other adult related things. So if you are interested, there are tiers starting for as low as $4 a month. You can check it out. Feel free to peep it. It is patreon.com/strippedbysia. And I hope to see you guys on the flip side over there. Okay, we're back. I'm trying to get that intro as short as we can, which is really, really great. But yeah, as I mentioned, this episode is all about being faceless and being anonymous. Those are two things that kind of go hand in hand, but also can be extra challenging if you are in the adult industry, where, as I mentioned, a lot can really rely on your face. But I'm really curious to hear about, how you're able to navigate being a faceless creator, dealing with the fans, dealing with people in Reddit, dealing with haters, dealing with all the things. So our esteemed guest is Gal Mariya Rivers, who is a huge Reddit content creator and also has been anonymously sharing her nudes for almost, I guess, a decade this year, which is really great. And I'm really excited to hear about, again, all these unique sets of challenges that come with this, but also her journey with body image, inspiring others, and like how this actually like changed her life. So I'm really excited to speak with her, and she's waiting patiently. Gal Mariya, please welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. I love your podcast that I've listened to, like the episodes I've listened to so far. Like it feels so on fit. So I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you, and thanks so much for contacting me. I've like been chasing some creators around for this topic, and but I'm not successful in doing that. And you guys, this is like like things that you never hear of, but like trying to find the perfect guest to fit the show is actually a lot of work. I've been doing a lot of following up, and then you just popped into my inbox, and I was like, the heavens and the clouds have parted. I'm like, yes, finally I can speak about this topic. So I'm super super stoked to hear about this and hear about your journey. As I mentioned, you have been a Faceless creator since 2015, so an entire decade of doing this and staying consistent and doing your thing. And you are a part of a few different niches on Reddit, which includes like small boobs, hairiness, BBW. But I would love for the audience to get you to know you a bit more intimately. So if you'd like to give the audience your own introduction, we'd love to hear it.
Awesome. Yeah. So my name is Gal Mariya Rivers, and I've been posting as still in metamorphosis since 2015. I consider myself an artist first. And so while adult entertainment, that is obviously a really enormous part of what I do, and a lot of the videos and pictures that I make are like purely fun, purely, just sexy and or raunchy or authentic sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say art underlies pretty much most of the things in my life. So that's an important thing I wanted to share. And yeah, absolutely. Reddit, starting to post on Reddit in 2015 absolutely changed my life. It completely changed my body image. Including by showing me that my perception of myself didn't match necessarily how many people saw me. It connected me to art in a way that I had never felt like an artist growing up. Although looking
Mm-hmm.
back, there was a lot of signs and lots of little artistic behaviors, but I'd never felt like an artist. And this completely opened my eyes to I am an artist. I'm making artistic choices. I'm learning about photography, about self-expression, and now I do all kinds of different art. Whatever I feel like at the moment, or maybe whatever deadline I'm trying to make for a certain art show. And a big part of my motivation is I want to put out authentic content, and it's a lot of it is, raunchy. I do a lot of masturbation videos, or I'll do slice of life videos. Like I'll make videos showing myself taking a shower or cleaning my pussy, or maybe like really the only kind of body hair I tend to remove is my facial hair. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll show myself like shaving, the whole process through, or I like drawing on myself with body safe markers, especially filling in my tattoos. And so things like
Fun.
that. And so, in addition to the joy and exhibitionism and also money earning from
Mm-hmm.
this kind of content, a lot of it is a lot of what drives me is I, growing up, I never knew that somebody who looks like me could be considered beautiful or sexy or uh, actually shown in erotic content. And so
Mm-hmm.
I have a pretty unique body type, like BBW with small boobs is not non-existent. There are those of us out there like that, but it's not a very common body type.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's extra underrepresented in terms of sexy content. And then
Mm-hmm.
also, I'm like a pretty hairy person. And so it's been interesting over the years to recognize that a lot of the things that I used to be quite self conscious about um, are things that now actually are niches that excite people. But
Mm-hmm.
and then also I guess I should say one of the things I found out when I did first post nudes online is that so I hadn't really realized, but my ass is kind of enormous. And so I would say that is one aspect of when I post. That's like the only niche I really post in that is like traditionally attractive or whatever. And even that, the like big asses are having a comeback, it's that they haven't always been seen in that way, but yeah, like that is part of my niches. But it's
I
also fun
love it.
not always relying on that, like I don't have to like show my butt in every picture. I can
Right.
still, feel sexy or like convey what I'm trying to show of myself.
Totally. Yeah. And it sounds like you've had such a journey, which we'll obviously get into, but like maybe we can start at the very beginning in terms of like, why Reddit, why nudes, why anonymously, and maybe we'll
Yeah.
start there because I feel like I'm opening like a can of worms.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's defined the last decade of my life and
Yes.
has completely changed the course of my entire life. So, yes, definitely a can of worms. Okay, so I first posted non sexual nudes in 2015 to this subreddit that I adore called Normal Nudes. And
Hmm.
I started off by lurking in there. It is it's not like a Gone Wild subreddit. People aren't supposed to do flattering angles. They um, can't do sexy poses. When, like for men, they have to be completely flaccid. There's
Mm.
all kinds of aspects of that. It's really supposed to be a gallery showing normal bodies.
Mm.
And they also generally ask for people to share about their experience of their body image. And so you can see these galleries of photos combined with hearing some part of what the person living in that body feels like. And
Hmm.
so what happened is in 2015, I was really struggling with my body image. Just, I'm not going to necessarily go into all the details, but, just I would say like every single person listening to this, reflect on your own body image, times that, someone has said words or how who you've seen represented has affected you, all that kind of stuff. It affected me in my own, uh, specific way.
Hmm.
And I was lurking in normal nudes and I saw over and over, I saw these really beautiful women posting, and to me they looked like perfect,
Hmm.
and they would share about their body image and they would describe themselves how I would describe myself. Like they would point to all their flaws and they would just feel so awful. They were afraid to be seen. And that already started chipping away at my insecurities just because it opened my eyes.
Hmm.
And I started thinking, well, maybe I'll post and maybe I would have an experience. Maybe there's something in common between me and them. And, my body image was so bad. And I really did look much less conventionally attractive than many of these women that I'm talking about that I saw. So I knew it wasn't the same thing. And I felt that pretty deeply. But I was like, maybe there's something.
Hmm.
And I remember I was so incredibly scared to post for the first time. I'd literally never taken nude photos, absolutely never. I was 25 at the time, but I decided to. And
Wow.
I took photos. I think I took about 6 photos of myself, different kinds of photos, but all like kind of straight on, no, like flattering angles.
Hmm.
And I was shaking and I posted them and I shared about my body image.
Hmm.
And it pretty much it's sort of like, I guess what I was hoping for happened. And so what happened is I posted my photos and I got a lot of comments that were basically saying your body is beautiful. Maybe the things that I saw as flaws were not necessarily viewed as flaws, or sometimes like it was like, okay, yes, this is an aspect that not everybody would be attracted to, but it's like it
Hmm.
wasn't devastating, Whereas I
Mm.
had this feeling like if somebody sees me naked, it's just like it's over. Not that I hadn't been seen naked, in real life,
Hmm.
but it was just a very vulnerable experience. And
Right.
I usually say, like, my body image went from like 30% to like 70% literally that weekend.
Wow.
And ever since then, I've been working on trying to improve my body image. It's still a complex thing. Um, but literally that day, so much changed.
Wow. Wow. Okay, wait. Questions for you before we move on.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Reddit lurker too. Like there's only certain places that I post. But how did you get the courage to post that? And like how long did it take you from being a lurker to like, okay, we're gonna do this. We've taken the shots, and then you're gonna actually hit post. But like, I would love to hear and like take us back to that time if you can recall.
I'm not exactly sure. My guess is I'm guessing I probably lurked for a few weeks.
Hmm.
And then when I took the photos, I'm pretty sure I posted them the same day.
Good for
I
you.
did take time to decide and really like kind of explore whether I felt comfortable doing this. But I would say how I found the bravery, or however you worded it, is so partly is like I was desperate. I was desperate to feel
Mm.
better. I was having an internal struggle that I wasn't really talking to most people in my life about. At the
Mhm.
time, I had lost a lot of weight, much of
Mm.
which I've since gained back. So that's its own complex body and body
Mhm.
image experience. So I was at the thinnest I'd ever been, and so a lot of the times people were treating me like in real life, like, or it's like I was being treated like a person who should have a good body image experience of themselves, but I would literally cry looking at myself, and I
Mm.
was so self-conscious. And so I think also I'm just a person who I don't think most people would consider me a risk taker or um, a daredevil, but my life
Mhm.
has changed substantially every few years, my entire life. And so
Hmm.
I think I'm okay with being a little weird. I'm okay with taking certain calculated risks. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I think what helps me take risks is I do take precautions. And so not everybody who posts in normal nudes posts not showing their face.
Mhm.
It varies. Obviously, I'm guessing, like if I were just thinking about it, I think most people don't show their face
Yeah.
because, you know, posting nudes, like there's all these warnings, they're out there forever, but also
Right.
normal nudes specifically, it's a place people are coming to because they're mostly, not only, but mostly because they're feeling really bad about themselves. And
Yeah.
so, they might not want to put their face right there. And so,
Totally.
at the time, I didn't show my face at all. And a few months later, I signed up for the username that I've used since then, still in Metamorphosis. And
Mhm.
with that username, I do post sexual, more like interesting angles, masturbation videos, things like that. And so that, it was definitely different than how I used my original account.
Right.
Um, and over time, I show more. So now I'm basically comfortable showing my, like, pretty much anything other than my eyes.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I'm happy to talk about that. There's a lot of cons, and I can definitely like elaborate on those. But I will say there's also pros. Like, um,
Totally. Yeah, well, maybe we can go into like maybe going back to your story and also like how that journey has changed. Because like what I'm hearing right now is you're posting because of you're motivated to hopefully give yourself some more confidence. You're battling with your body image. Potentially some body dysmorphia that I might be hearing as well. But correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong if this is not what you're trying to convey. But this sounds like the motivation why you're posting that initially. So I'd love to hear like continuing on as you've started to post more. What was driving those decisions?
Yeah, so as I got into posting in more of the sexual places, part of it is it turns out I'm an exhibitionist. Of course, I only show myself when people want to see. So consent really underlies everything that I do, both in person and on the internet. But within those people who do want to see, I do like posting. I do like. First of all, I like masturbating. I would say I'm good at it. I've been doing it for a long time, and also one of my fans, I will always appreciate, one of my early fans told me about the Hitachi Magic Wand, which is the main vibrator I use. Now I have a lot of vibrators and sex toys, but that's like by far my favorite. And so it's like, it's fun masturbating. It's fun recording it. It's fun having that positive feedback. And also, it's such a contrast with what I thought was possible. Like, I had
Mhm.
no idea before like the middle of 2015 that anybody would want to see me, or not that anybody, like I said, I've it wasn't like I had never had any positive experience. I have dating and sex experience and all that stuff. But still, there was just that, it's just so jarring to know like people actually want this. And
Mm.
I also get so much positive feedback from fans. Not only like, there's plenty of haters, and I can talk about that as
Yeah,
well, how
we'll
I deal
definitely
with
get to
them,
that
or
later.
yeah, but the vast majority of my experience has been positive feedback, and because generally the people who are mean keep it to themselves, or sorry, the
Mhm.
people who are critical keep it to themselves unless they're mean. But yeah,
Yeah.
like every generally every time I post, or every few posts, whatever, because not everything gets a lot of engagement. There's all kinds of reasons for that,
Mhm.
but there's been so much positive feedback. Like, some people who, I am their body type, and they so rarely get to see somebody who looks like somebody who they're attracted to, or maybe they're expected to only be attracted to people who look more conventional, but I am
Mhm.
actually who they're attracted to, or one of the kinds of people they're attracted to. And
Yeah.
so they're so excited to see me. And then other people who never expected to be attracted to me. And they tell me that now when they're out and about, they're attracted to a wider range of women. Or they'll tell me
Wow.
that yeah, that is like my favorite. On my
That's
fan
awesome.
page on my website, I have a few quotes like that. And it's just, oh, that makes me so happy. Or they'll tell me they and their girlfriend or wife or partners will look at my photos together, and maybe it leads to sexy time, or maybe it leads to conversations about body image.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
it's like, there's just so many reasons that it's so motivating.
No, totally. I mean, maybe I missed this, but maybe going back to like, how did you go from just posting that first anonymous nude to getting yourself into other Reddit, like subreddits, and going to lean more on the sexy side and exhibitionisty side?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I know that I signed up for my Still in Metamorphosis account on July 4th, 2015. So
Hmm.
I wonder if something about like having the day off and reflecting on independence, and maybe I was hanging out with people. I'm not exactly sure what led me to sign up for that account, but I guess I'm not too surprised, because at that point I'd been on Reddit for at least months, and I guess I was finding out that there are the gone wild parts of it, and that
Hmm.
generally, um, basically, um, accounts that post sexy content are not welcome everywhere,
Right.
and then
Yes.
accounts
Yes.
that sell their sexy content are even further not welcome everywhere. And so it just kind of made sense to make a
Yes.
separate account.
Totally.
And I think I just had fun with it, and I just found my love of exhibitionism, and it was just like, I love masturbating. It's fun to show it off. I also was just starting to get so like having fun with the content, like how am I setting up, what interesting angles, and again, considering with all of this, I had to be mindful of angles to make sure that I don't show my face, or
Hmm.
limit my movement to make sure that my face isn't being seen, or all kinds of considerations. So sometimes they say having certain limitations can actually increase your creativity, or lead you to
Hmm.
kinds of art that you never would have thought of. And that's also, maybe it's been kind of a fun puzzle, although I am going to be so thrilled once I am done hiding my face. So I will say it's a puzzle, that a decade of doing that puzzle of figuring out how to always hide my face. I will say that is enough. I've done my dues. I've paid my dues. And it's just going to be so exciting to like be able to just set up a camera and record and move all around the bed, or be able to show my full
Yeah.
self, or if I'm doing dancing videos, and I have a lot of those. I record them. I just either I either don't release them, or I only
Mm-hmm.
release them maybe like, I have certain sexy texting friends or friends with benefits or whatever who
Yeah.
will get them directly, who I don't mind them seeing my face. So a lot of the content I'm holding on to that is ready for when I do start showing my face. Otherwise, I'll have to either
Smart.
I either cut clips out that don't show
Yeah.
my face, or I'll blur my face, all kinds of extra hassle that I'm excited to get rid of.
Oh my gosh, sounds like you are so ready for it to take that step. We got some time to obviously kill before then though. But like you were touching on it a little bit, but like you're talking about like a little bit of the challenges and like having to navigate being faceless, and talking about angles, and talking about, oh, I can't release this, or I have to clip this part. Um Talk to us about that, because I know a lot of people, and this is also always a question that comes up. You're like, oh, can't I like be a cam model with like without showing my face, or can't I like have an OnlyFans without showing my face and being anonymous? We'd love to hear from your personal experience and like what those pros and cons would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I've already mentioned the cons a lot, like always having to be
Mm-hmm.
mindful, limiting what I can show, having to scrub through all of my content, and
Mm-hmm.
also the anxiety. Like, I'm doing all of these precautions because I'm mindful of potential like privacy, safety risks, things like that. And so, as I'm scrubbing through every single shot, or every single moment of a video, it's not just, oh, I'm just editing this for whatever. It's because I've decided for myself that I'm more safe and secure, I guess, if I do set these limits. And so I would just say there is that stressfulness. But I want to mention a few positives as well.
Of course,
So one
please.
is one positive to facelessness is I just heard this relatively recently, but a lot of people who follow like Gone Wild girls or OnlyFans creators, and I shouldn't just say girls, like, people of any gender.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of it is about fantasy. And so
Yes. Yes.
what I've heard is that faceless creators, the people who are looking at them, they can kind of imagine whoever they're kind of crushing on, or, have that extra mystery. Like, I mean, at this point, I'm only hiding my eyes. So that kind of decreases, how my face could look. Like, this is how the bottom part of my face looks.
Right.
But, back when I wasn't showing my face at all, it's like my face could look like anything. And so for a lot of people, that mystery, that excitement is part of what makes it fun.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
The thing that I would say is like the biggest positive for me, besides giving me time to sort out, is this what I really care about? Am I willing to have the risks eventually of having my face on it?
Mm-hmm.
Um, by hiding my face and my identity for so long, it's just given me a lot of boldness and freedom. And so I don't think I would have ever posted the photos to normal nudes in the first place if they had had my face on them. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like that whole thing would have been cut out. I have no idea how I would feel about myself at this moment if I hadn't had that experience.
Right.
And a lot of the sexy content, um, like masturbation videos, like at this point, I'm fine with having my face on them. I don't release them with my full face on them yet, but obviously that's the plan.
Yeah.
But it's really taken me time to get to that. And other things like, years ago, I had a fan who was like especially a big fan of my big old booty, and he told me, he like introduced me to, we were just with chatting, he introduced me to things, including like the butt spread, basically just like
Yeah.
spreading my butt cheeks. And
You'll
now
really
that's a
love that.
kind of, yeah, that's a kind of picture or video that I do relatively often. And if like I would have never ever felt comfortable doing that in the first place if my face were on it, and or if it were like immediately being broadcast, or so like there's just that option of when you make uh, I'll often tell people this, like if friends reach out to me or something and they know I do this and they're curious about it, but they're not going for like the whole thing that I'm doing. And so I'll tell them,
Mhm.
if you think you would benefit from or have fun with taking photos of yourself, then you can take photos and they can be nude or not, suggestive or not. You can share them or not. You can post them or not. You can show your face or not. Like there's just so many different options. And I think um, having those options and not feeling like, well, if I take a nude photo, then it automatically gets blasted onto the internet and my face is on it. If that were
Mhm.
if it were that, then it would just be so much more high stakes. And so
Mhm.
for me, it's been really helpful to piece together, what do I want? What are my lines? Um, it's, this is none of what I'm doing now is anything that I possibly could have expected in the first place. And
Mhm.
so it has been really important to just take it like a step at a time, a decision at a time. And I am a person who sometimes needs processing time.
Yeah.
I am both, I am autistic and I also have ADHD,
Right.
and both of those affect like processing time, decision making, impulsivity. And so it has really helped me to be able to really stretch out these decisions over, at this point, basically a decade.
Yeah, and I think that's really smart too. And you mentioned like you take some calculated risks and stuff too, and like you're really thinking about, okay, is this one something I want to do in the long term? Is this where I want to be? Is this still feeling good? And you asking yourself all these questions, I think is really smart and a really good way to approach being in the adult industry. Because I know for all those of you that are listening to this because you're like, is this for me? Is this for me? It's definitely one way of it's a good like kind of quote unquote safe route of doing things. Um, because we have had really brief conversations in the past in terms of like more on the anonymity subject and steps to keep yourself anonymous and to keep yourself safe in that kind of aspect. And there are ways to do it, including cutting off your face. Not having any identifiable pieces of you that can be seen in videos, choosing the angles of like your camera and the background, what's being displayed, stuff like that. So, in terms of like a very broad safety kind of conversation, but I think this is a really, really interesting way to do things and for you to kind of like, have your foot like you're dipping toes, but you're like kind of slowly going deeper into the pool kind of thing, which is really cool. I had a question too in terms of like, because you were mentioning, okay, like, now I'm more comfortable with showing most things except for my eyes. Like when you first started, was it just like no head at all? And then we're slowly like, adding and showing lips and like nose and like your tattoo and stuff. Talk to us about those decisions and how that came to
Yeah. So,
be.
yeah, initially I definitely cut it off at the neck.
Mhm.
And, I don't remember specifically when I started showing my mouth. I do have, I mean, all of it's recorded. So, and I have so many pictures and videos, like it's so many files to sort that I've been working on. So, at some point I could look back and figure that out. And I don't remember exactly how I decided to do that, but it was a relief when I could start showing, or like when I decided that I could start showing my mouth, because
Mhm.
it already creates a lot more interest. It shows more personality. I like, a lot of my videos, I'll like end with a smile. And
Mhm.
also, pleasure is just visible on the mouth.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
so
it is.
that makes a really big deal. It makes a really big
Yeah.
difference. Yeah. And you know what's funny is when I was in middle school, I did I think it was my seventh grade science fair project on which facial feature is easiest to recognize. So I had,
Oh.
like, I cut out pictures of, I think, like Aaron Carter, Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe Hillary Duff. I don't remember exactly who, but I basically would show people and then see, whether they can recognize them. And I found that the eyes were the most recognizable. And so I haven't really thought about this very much,
That's
but
so
maybe that's
cool.
part of it. And then I think
Yeah.
also as facial recognition, or as facial recognition technology has developed,
Mm-hmm.
I think the eyes are just it just feels to me like they're the most recognizable. But I also
Mm-hmm.
like it's been interesting to watch how the recognizability has increased. Like
Mm.
in my Google Photos, which only I see,
Yeah.
um, I have over time told it, like, this is me, this is me, this is me, and so it will recognize even like really unique angles or things where you can barely see my face, or even
Right.
only this much, and I can't really assume that that's actually the level that other technology would be, because I've actually, this
Mm.
is my Google Photos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just been mindful of, and I guess this project has grown up in the same time that AI and facial recognition
Yes.
technology has really accelerated. And at this point, I'm just recognizing that while when I do reveal my face next summer, this upcoming summer, I'm not planning to reveal my name.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of value to having a pseudonym and this being the name I have on this art, but I also know that it sets there's a certain point at which, like, it's out of my control. Like, if they figure out who I actually am, that's part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and at a certain point that's probably what I want anyway. I want to be able
Yeah.
to say, this is my name, and here's adult entertainment that I do under this pseudonym, and here is
Mm-hmm.
this kind of art that I do under my real name. um, and I'm really looking forward to when I'm like one unified person and I can just say
Yeah.
these are different things that I do. And then you also asked about tattoos. So I only
Mm-hmm.
got my tattoos for the first time about 2 years ago.
Okay.
The 5 cats at first, and then these are brand new ones, the moth and butterfly. And I remember when I got the cat tattoos, I had told the tattoo artist that I wanted to make sure that each one of them could be covered by a band-aid, like a 2x4 band-aid. And she said, oh, is it like, your work doesn't allow you to have tattoos or something like that? And I told her, no, it's way more interesting than that. And so I told her later. And so for a while I was covering them, or
Ah.
um, I would crop them out, or I would apply the same kind of sticker or blur that I do on my eyes to my
Right.
tattoos. But I think, that was about 2 years ago that I got it. And now every moment that I get closer to my face reveal, I'm just like, it's okay. These are precautions I'm taking, but it really helps to know that people like you are out there. And,
Mm-hmm.
I never know what kind of security precautions other people have. So I can't
Right.
assume that, just because people are out there, that I can just, put my face and put my identity and I'll be fine. Cause like it really,
Mm.
you can't predict it, and you never know what, whether people have security guards or something like
Yeah.
that. But at
Right.
this point, I'm just kind of like, it's fine if when they figure out it's me. And also the fact that I have a very unique body type, like, um at a certain point it's like, well, I'm talking about the same kind of like confidence, art, empowerment, personal decisions, all kinds of stuff in my real life and,
Mm.
nude online.
Right.
And that's me. And, I'm at this point, I'm okay with those. I'm almost okay. I'm getting close to being okay with,
Yeah.
those connections being drawn.
Yeah, you were also mentioning, like, having, I mean, you have your online persona of still in metamorphosis, and then you have like your real you. And you were kind of leaning in towards, like, it'd be so nice to unify the two soon. It will be in July. Can you talk to us about, like, I don't want to call it split personality because that really is a real thing, but like how to balance the two and how you are able to bring your own personality in your online Gal Mariya, still in metamorphosis persona. How do you do that?
Yeah, it is challenging balancing these different personas. And I'm honestly, like, it can be exhausting. I get frustrated a lot. There have been other times, like in 2020, I was planning to reveal my face. I had announced it, I was going to do it. And I basically changed the plan. I decided not to. Um, Although at that time I did share more openly in person, including with people I actually know. So I did still come out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I did advance in what was going on, but I didn't show my face. And I'm really glad, actually, because my plan was going to be it was going to be the beginning of March,
Mm-hmm.
on my like 30th birthday is when I was going to reveal in 2020. And then a couple weeks later, the pandemic happened, or
Oh
like at
my
least
God,
in
yes.
the US, that's when it came to us. And
Right.
so that just completely changed so many things, including it would
Wow.
have been harder for me to get away if I needed to. And
Right.
so, I'm okay with it being um, like slowed down in that way. And
Totally.
it is really exhausting and challenging navigating all these different, so many inboxes, so many accounts,
Mm-hmm.
so many times I think about, okay, if I want to connect with, like, if I want to reach out or tweet to a certain, let's say, a certain podcast, and the themes are relevant to kind of both of these personas, which do I do? Because if I use the same hashtags, just all of these aspects that make it so it could be connected back to me. And it's just a lot, and it limits me. It has slowed me down. I mean, it doesn't only limit me. Like I said, there's things that it helps with, but
Mm-hmm.
it is this constant second guessing of, like, okay, am I choosing this persona or that persona? And
Yeah.
what are the risks, and how big is that person's audience? Because if it's a, if like I'm following Beyonce with both of my accounts, it doesn't matter. But if it's like
Mm-hmm.
a tiny podcast, I'm reaching out to them, it might be more likely people could figure it out.
Right.
um,
Yeah, those are things to consider.
Hi, it's Carly David, founder of PS Group, marketing agency for sex workers by sex workers. We're here to give you the tools you need to stand out. From slick websites to next level marketing strategies, we want to turn your fans into loyal customers. Our fees are project based, no commissions, no percentages. We believe you should keep the rewards of your hard work. So if you're serious about taking your brand to the next level, visit us at sexworkmarketing.com. Say hello, we'd love to talk to you.
yeah, and I think also this really connects to authenticity. Is such a big aspect of this project for me, and I've had people question, how authentic really am I if I'm not showing my face, and if I'm keeping
Right.
these lives separate. And I get it. I personally define authenticity as sharing as much as you feel comfortable in a given context. And so
Mm-hmm.
a person who's very private, not sharing about themselves, is them being authentic. Authenticity doesn't require bearing all. And so
Mm-hmm.
um,
That's a good point.
I I don't think that me keeping certain things back makes me less authentic. Again, it depends on how you define it. But as a person who really strives to be, I see the way that my art and my missions and my thoughts um, go across these different personas. And so I personally want to be unified in this way. I want people to know that a person who um, a person who is masturbating on the internet can also be that person who in their regular life, is dressed up all like normally or whatever. Or, you
Totally.
never know what people are doing behind the scenes. And so
Yeah.
I I think once I am able to share more authentically and say, I am all of these people, and the whole time that you knew me as this person who's naked online, I was also doing these other things clothed in person, and vice versa, or like,
Yeah.
when people ask me, what kind of art do you do, or what keeps you busy, like in real life? And there's always having to figure out, is this a safe person?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
is or also like would they even welcome this discussion? Because
Yeah.
not everybody wants to hear about nudity. Not everybody, like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not always appropriate to talk about your masturbation. And so
Mm-hmm.
if people say, oh, what kind of videos do you make?
Yeah.
It's not always going to be appropriate to say that it's masturbation videos, because that's people don't always want to hear stuff about your sex life. And so that is a
Totally.
complex thing as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Especially in a North American context, like people are very uncomfortable with nudity. People are
Yeah.
uncomfortable about sex. People are uncomfortable with like skin. Like, like all of these things are just like, oh, like we were taught to keep this stuff, quote unquote private, right? So
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a lot of like you having a lot of these internal battles like that hasn't been easy, especially over the span of a decade. Just
Yeah.
really quite remarkable, and just yeah, I'm excited for you for when you get to reveal later on this summer, which is really exciting.
Thanks.
I'm not sure if you're open to talking about this because you mentioned like blurring tools, and I know some people are interested in using that for their own anonymity, for those who are listening who might be like in full service or doing things where they are not able to come out for various reasons, due to safety, due to family, due to whatever. Are you able to share any of that information, or like how would you go about that, or in terms of like what kind of tools, or how can you learn how to use these tools, stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So mostly what I've been using recently is the software Wondershare Filmora, or maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
Filmora Wondershare. I'm not necessarily saying I recommend the product. At this point, I know it well enough that I can do the basics of what I need. But honestly, I found it very frustrating, and their customer service is very frustrating. And
That's
so like
annoying.
yeah, it's good for applying a basic blur, including it can sometimes recognize your face.
Mm-hmm.
And but in my experience, the when like if I turn my head, or it's just kind of anything that's not like its most simple, it just loses the blur. And I guess there's
Mm-hmm.
things like I've been trying to figure out, like keyframing, which apparently will help. I don't know.
Yeah.
um but I haven't really yet. And so um I have to think there's probably a lot of better tools out there, because I remember, like, you know, reality shows even from like the 90s, when I was growing up, and it's like they would blur the faces of everybody in the crowd. And obviously they have big resources, so who knows, maybe they just had people manually doing it. But yeah, and if you or anybody wants to suggest things, I mean, obviously it's becoming less and less relevant for me, but still it is a big
Mm-hmm.
hassle. Yeah, so there are you could like experiment, like if somebody searches blurring tools, they can try them out.
Mm-hmm.
um, I think one thing that helps is just kind of looking at it as like, what is the simplest way to do this? And so, depending
Mm-hmm.
on what somebody's goals are, sometimes it's just easier to just set up your tripod, tilt it down, and just know that, like, for this video, I'm not gonna move. And it's like that's good sometimes, because like if I've set it up, let's say, I could be like right here where I'm recording right now. I've set it up. It's like going to be cut off at my nose, and I'm just going to bring my Hitachi magic wand, and I know that it's all in frame. But
Yeah.
it sucks in a way, because when you're masturbating, when you're feeling pleasure, like you want to move around, you want to be free, and obviously, I also show my pleasure in my eyes, but I'm not showing it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an option. Just set it up and go. Or you could put a mask on. At this point, I have so many masks, and they all have these pros and cons. I found, like, the sleep mask that I actually sleep with at night,
Mm-hmm.
it holds on pretty tight, and so no matter what angle I'm at, you can't see under it. But I absolutely cannot see anything with it on. And so if I'm just if I'm just masturbating in bed or something like that, it's great for recording. But if I'm trying to do like anything that requires movement, I could like knock everything over. Or like another thing, if somebody wants to, like one thing I've been doing more recently is, the moment that I see that a video is going to be more complex, like I'm moving around, my face is at different angles, the facial recognition software isn't going to necessarily recognize that that's me and cut it out, is sometimes I just say, well, I have, let's say, a 15-minute video, and I want to sell that 15-minute video, but maybe that's not my priority right now. And what I need is, from this video, I need to have, to get a few like 2-minute clips that my OnlyFans and Fansly subscribers are going to get included in their membership. And so then, instead of trying to figure out, can I get every single shot in this available? Well, what if I just take this, this couple minutes, and then maybe there's a moment that I got in frame, and so I'm just going to cut that part out, and it just has like a jump shot, or whatever that's called. And that's pretty common, I think, in porn, especially like, if you see something on Pornhub, it might be a short, like a 8-minute video, it's cut from a 40-minute video. We're used to seeing jump cuts. So
right.
I think just whatever makes it easier, especially if this isn't your main priority. Like, I have a full-time job. I have a very busy life. Like, people who have no idea I do this still are like, oh my God, you do so much. And they're right. And so to make this sustainable, I have to do things that are quick and dirty sometimes, or that accomplish the main thing I'm trying to, even if it's not like the ultimate product that, I want. But the nice thing is I have all those clips. And so, starting next summer, I can, post, sell, whatever, these like literally a decade's worth of sexy and authentic pictures and videos. And, I still have to kind of scrub through it and just check.
Yeah,
but
of course,
really, there's not that much I'm looking for at this point. At that point.
Earlier, you were talking about like people that were kind of against you in terms of like, you're not being authentic because you're not being face out. Let's talk about like dealing with haters and people on the internet, and people especially on Reddit, which can be a really scary place to be. How do you navigate that?
Yeah. So I do sometimes get haters. It's not too often. I'm mostly I want to mention that, so as you know, people who work in sex work, adult industry, we often are losing our accounts or getting banned, getting algorithms against us, stuff like that.
Yes.
And so, despite me following like all subreddit rules for, as far as I know, like the entire time I've been posting, earlier this year, I was shadow banned on Reddit, and then I was permanently banned on Reddit, at least that account. I still in Metamorphosis account. So, my experience more recently has been kind of frustration and stepping away from it. But I love Reddit. I want to get back to it. I'm figuring out how I can. I signed up for some accounts in July 4th of 2024. So I have some accounts that have the same anniversary, even though it doesn't have it won't be all 10 years.
Right.
But yeah, so all that being said, that I'm not on there right now. But in general, so most of the people who comment, that in my experience have been nice. I generally select places to post that are going to be more welcoming of me. So, like the actual like Gone Wild is mostly people who look like, just like kind of model looking, classically attractive people, generally hairless, probably mostly in their 20s. I'm not really sure. But that's a place people are going to generally when they're looking for kind of like this typical model or porn kind of look. And, if I posted there, I'd probably get a lot of hate. I'd probably get a lot of downvotes. And so that's not generally where I've posted.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, is going to places that I know are going to be more welcoming of me. And so that being said, there have been times when people do post negative comments. And in my experience, those comments don't bother me. And I don't remember if they did at first. I do remember kind of vaguely, but I remember having some negative responses as a result of trolls or hate, which isn't surprising because, I started with such a bad body image. I was in such a vulnerable place. And so, it makes sense. Like I'm a strong person, but these are really challenging things, and hateful comments can stir that up. But in general, I think over the years, I've just noticed, okay, people fall into these categories. People who like me,
Mm-hmm.
people who are neutral on me, people who don't like me. And then there's people who reach out and people who don't reach out.
Right.
And people who don't like how I look, who don't reach out, great.
Yeah.
I don't need to know that they're not attracted to me. Like, why would, there's people I'm not attracted to. I don't tell them, I mean, unless they ask me out, and then I would say no or something like that. But,
Yeah.
um, and so pretty much anybody who is not attracted to me and who is telling me that is an asshole. Like, it's just
Yes.
terrible behavior, especially because, you know, it's not like if somebody has, okay, I don't expect that everybody who posts a hateful comment or sees me knows my history, but in general, people can see. I sometimes will share about my body image, or if you look at my bio, you can see that I started doing this because of body image issues, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's not even. I mean, like, it's already bad enough to just reach out to anybody and make hateful comments, but doing that to somebody who is doing this so vulnerably, like it's like such terrible behavior, and I can't possibly allow my body image and my confidence to be swayed and affected by people who are just terrible people, who don't care about
Yeah.
my well-being, who are against my values. Like, one of my values is to show that there are multiple different kinds of body types, body proportions, um, ways of being confident and sexy. And
Yes.
so it doesn't mean everybody has to be attracted to somebody who looks like me. Of course they don't have to be. Nobody, even the people who look like, Playboy models, not everybody is attracted to them. And I know
Yeah.
part of the reason I know that is some of the people who are attracted to me are only attracted to people who look more like me, BBWs or hairy or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but even people who most people are attracted to, not everybody's attracted to them. I know that
Yes.
as a person with a more unconventional body, fewer people are attracted to me, and that's fine. And I just don't need to hear about from the people who aren't attracted to me. There's
No,
literally no
totally.
reason. No
And that's a
reason. And
healthy
so,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Because
I just don't let the trolls get to me.
I'm so glad to hear that because, yeah, Reddit can be a really hard place to be for a lot of people. I know a lot of people listening like have accounts and use that as a main marketing tool to be on there, but it could also be really, really tough. And I'm really glad that to hear that you don't let the trolls get to you because there are a lot of trolls that are on there, unfortunately. But I do
Yeah.
like your messaging there too, Gal Maria, like talking about, you know, being in this industry, like there is always going to be someone for you. There's always going to be niches that you can cater to and people that are going to like you, your body, your personality, your anything like that, or catering to like specific kinks and fetishes and stuff too. Like there's like that's what I love about this community is that like there is something for everyone. Literally, there is something for everyone here. And like I love that you were able to kind of pave the way in terms of like um just hearing about like your entire journey, like you started off as a person that had been struggling with body images and did this as like a way to boost your confidence and get some positive reinforcement, and like now you've really been able to like lean into this art, and now it sounds like empowering other people, inspiring other people that it's okay, there are bodies that look like this and other bodies that look in a different way, and it's all okay. So I love to hear that. It's such a nice inspiring thing to do for the rest of those that might be suffering inside, right?
Thanks. Yeah, I think this whole thing has just opened my mind up a lot to different body experiences and um, body like body justice movements. Like,
Mm-hmm.
most people have heard about body positivity,
Mm-hmm.
and body positivity can help, but I think like I personally lean more towards, like over time I've leaned more towards like body liberation or body neutrality. So, I also, because I don't want to lean into like toxic positivity. I don't want
Yeah,
to
we don't want that.
try to feel like I have to always feel positive about my body, or also like viewing it all through appearance. I don't want to do that. Like, in 2018, I just gave myself, I'm always just like giving myself projects. Um, and so I gave myself this, I called it the Body Gratitude Challenge. And so I did 365 posts that year. And every day I would post usually a picture, sometimes a video. And with it would be a sentence about my experience of my body, or sometimes bodies in general, but usually my body. And a lot of it was about appearance and about my experience of my body image, but other parts of it were about things like I remember one of my posts was about the fact that my knees hadn't hurt in a while, and I sometimes get knee pain, and so the absence of that was really, it was just something I wanted to comment on. Or that year, I had recently lost somebody who I really care about to cancer. And so one of my posts was I took flowers, I think flowers that maybe somebody had given me for my birthday or something, and they were a little bit dried at that point. And I held them up, I think like one in front of my pussy, two in front of my nipples. And I don't know, to class it up a little or whatever. And just because the purple flower is really pretty. And my caption was something like, to the best of my knowledge, I don't have and have never had cancer. And so that was, as important as it is to feel confident about how one looks, the function of our body underlies everything else. Like, if your body isn't functioning, or if you're sick or something like that, then that completely changes things. And so I feel like that body liberation focus has opened me up to more like looking at the world, like, is it, are things accessible for more bodies, whether it's
Right.
ramps or captions, or how do, or like better understanding people who struggle with chronic pain. And that's an aspect of, if people who have serious body like illnesses or chronic pain don't have what they need and they struggle, then that's an aspect of the body liberation activism that still needs to happen. And so I feel like what I'm doing is part of this. And and but it's just one little part. So actually, I until recently and it's right now at least, still up on some of my social media. I think I've been using the tagline, sharing my body and my pleasure to change the world, and then parentheses a little. And so because I do want to say that, I do want to say, like, what I'm doing, a big part of it is just the sexiness and the fun and the porn and the getting off and the art. But also part of it is about just like chipping away at what we've been told about the options of who can be sexy.
Yeah.
But I did want to say that a little, because, I'm not saying that I'm going to change everything. And so, yeah, it's been nice to kind of look at, now that I've been doing this for a decade, or almost a decade, like, what exactly is this? How does this fall in line, or how is this part of broader artistic movements and adult content, like, and body liberation? Like, I'm, the whole standing on the shoulders of giants thing.
Yeah.
I know I'm doing certain unique things, but I also know that I wouldn't be anywhere in the first place if I weren't standing on the shoulders of people who have already done so many things. And I just want to be part of that.
I love that. And like, I want to continue on with this journey too. Like, I'll have to have a follow-up, maybe with your face in the summer later this year, which is going to be so exciting. But like, thank you so much for sharing your story on this. And it's been really interesting to hear of the unique challenges that you've gone through, and literally a journey for yourself, and also talking about body liberation and that movement. I think is so important. because like with being in this adult industry, like people will think like it's all your body, you're selling your body, we rely so much on our body, and to a certain extent yes, but like to what standards, what quote unquote standards, and I feel like we should be challenging that, which is a whole other conversation, maybe for another episode another time.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I mean, like
yeah, continue.
most people's jobs involve selling and using their bodies and their
Mm-hmm.
minds. And so we do tend to look at it differently when it is adult work or sex work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair. Like there is something unique about nudity. There's something unique about sexiness and adult content or sex work. There's something unique there, but you
Absolutely.
can't. I don't think it's fair to just say, you're like these people are selling their body or objectifying themselves without looking at the fact that that is what work is, and there's so much to look at labor and labor rights and the history of
Mm-hmm.
all of that. And I think it just helps to look at all of these things together so that instead of stigmatizing sex work or only looking down on certain kinds of jobs or entertainment, we can just say, well, what are we looking at overall, and
Yeah.
what are our morals that underlie all of it, and can we just apply all of that to all of it, so that those of us who are um, choosing to use our bodies in this way, so that we can be healthy and safe and protected as well.
I love that, and this is such a good way to end the episode. But there is a question that did come in from Twitter as well. This person, sorry, let me just scroll down. This person writes in: do faceless creators find it just as profitable as regulars, or like I guess regular creators who are face out?
Yeah, it's a really great question. And so I'll just say, I personally don't have the answer to it. That's a question that basically would take like data and research to figure out. And so while I don't have that answer, I can just kind of give my perspective. Um, I like we've been talking about pretty much this whole time, there are positives and negatives to facelessness. And so I'm guessing that people who do show their face probably do better. They have more freedom. They can show their beautiful full faces. And I mean, I'm a person who, like, when I'm attracted to somebody, I'm mostly attracted to their face. If I'm fantasizing about them, I'm probably fantasizing about their face. And so I can certainly understand, wanting to see the face of the person you're masturbating to or just admiring.
Yeah.
Um, so, I would assume that it would be probably more profitable. And there's just so many more, like, there's more of the freedom. You can be more creative. You can, when you reach out to somebody, there's, they kind of know you a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, whether something is profitable also depends on if something is like logistically possible. And so for somebody who wants to do OnlyFans, wants to do content creation, but isn't planning to make it their life's work, or needs to be really cautious about their name or face not being associated with it for many different reasons. In that case, it would be absolutely not profitable if they couldn't do it in the first place, or they put
Mm-hmm.
their face out there and suddenly they're fired from their their stable job that they need to survive, in
Yes.
because it's like again, I don't know about most, many, I don't know what percentage of people who are seriously focused on not safe for work content also have full-time jobs. I don't have that information, but I think it's a lot of people. And so
Mm-hmm.
um, it definitely, the facelessness does make opportunities and creates the safety that I think, um, or like adds to the safety, decreases risk, that I
Mm-hmm.
think should be considered when we talk about whether something is profitable or not. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I
No,
think
definitely.
also, from what I've heard, there also can be potentially profit from not showing your face and then
Mm-hmm.
revealing your face. So
Yes.
I haven't exactly decided the specifics, but I think starting on in July 4th, I'm going to, like, in general, like whether people are behind my paywall or not, I think they'll be able to see my face. But of course, they'd
Mm-hmm.
only be able to see, like, you know, masturbation clips and stuff like that, mostly if they're paid subscribers.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of leaning towards maybe like a month before or something like that, making it so that people can already pay to see that earlier. I'm just kind of noodling on all of this stuff right now. So and input from you or your fans is totally welcome. But either way, like depending on how you do it, there's like firsts are something that the adult industry definitely can celebrate.
Yes.
And so the first time showing your face is something people can potentially make money off of. So those 100%. Are all, I think, aspects of profitability.
Yeah, for sure. Can definitely be used as a marketing tactic for sure. Or if you want to see my face and you'll have to pay extra, or you'll have to be on this specific tier if you want to access that. So I'm excited for you to kind of play around with whatever option is going to be best for you at that time when it is reveal time. So exciting. But yeah, great question. Whoever wrote that on X, I don't want to say usernames just in case people don't want to say the usernames. But I mean, this is a really great episode. I've loved to hear your journey on this, and I can't wait to see what the next few months are going to look like leading up to your face reveal. But Gal Mariya, it was so lovely having you on the show. I'd love for people to get in touch if they can get in touch with you. If you have any current active links, please plug them.
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me if you go to stillinmetamorphosis.com. It has my links on there, or Linktree. My Linktree, I think it's like linktr.ee/stillinmetamorphosis. Yeah. At the moment, my social media is kind of in flux because I recently lost a lot of the accounts I've been working on. So instead of, and those things do tend to kind of come and go. So I think if people just go to my website and they can find things from there, they can find my OnlyFans, my Fansly, they can find my email. People are totally welcome to email me. I can't guarantee I'll respond to everything, but I respond to everything that I'm sent by subscribers on OnlyFans and Fansly. But when I do get emails that are about understanding and appreciating the mission of what I'm doing, or ask me interesting questions, I really do love to engage. So people are very welcome to reach out.
Awesome.
Especially if they have ideas about this face reveal, or if they think, oh, this podcast might be interesting, or I'm also planning right now. I've been focusing on pitching myself onto podcasts, but I want to also see what kind of magazines might have an interest in this as a human interest story, whatever kind of ideas people have. I love brainstorms. I have way more brainstorms than I could ever do. And so, hearing other people's brainstorms or ideas, especially if they're already familiar with my work, I really love that.
Yeah, people go reach out, do your thing. The links are in the show notes below. And if you're wanting to get in touch with myself, it is Stripped by Sia on Twitter, Blue Sky, Stripped by Sia podcast on Instagram, because my original one got deleted. strippedbysia.com if you're looking into potentially coming onto the show, or if you have any feedback for me. I read all of them, so feel free to send your messages that way. And of course, patreon.com/strippedbysia if you do want to contribute financially to the show. But it is new episodes every single Sunday, dropping at midnight Pacific Standard Time. If you have time to rate and review the show on Spotify and Apple, that would be amazing, as well as on YouTube. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's good or bad. But that's it for everyone this week. Thank you so much, Gal Mariya, for joining us on the show today, and we'll catch you all in for another episode next Sunday. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia. Music by Ted D. Graphic design by Maria Bellandarama, and photography by Ian Dabrin.